From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper, and it is time for the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles Live, and it is Monday, and we are about 4 days away from the 5 days away from the first of the year, saying hello to 2022. But right now, we're going to say hello to our Monday correspondent, my man, the Don of Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson. What's going on, brother? I hope you're feeling good, feeling great. I am. How about you?
Happy holidays. Yes, feeling good, feeling great. New day, new week, new beginning. Last week of 2021 as we look to finish strong here and get ready for 2022. Blessed to be on, as always. It's Monday, so what better than East meets West, LA, Boston. Let's get it on, brother.
You already know what it is. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the NFL playoff picture. And we had things get shaken up big time here in the NFL this weekend. We had a lot of different scenarios kind of start taking place a little bit, and we're getting a clearer picture on who's going to be in the playoffs. Big loss for the Chargers last week. Chargers have actually fallen out of the playoffs, to be exact, after everything. It's like that old Jay-Z Too Short song. Everything was all good just a week ago, but things are different now because you know what? Coach made some bad decisions against Kansas City. They lose in overtime. Then they go to Houston with the idea that they're going to blow out a team that's 3-11, but they don't understand that that Houston team is a much different team from what they were the first 10-12 weeks of the season. Now they know exactly what they are in their scheme, so they're comfortable. So they're not a 3-11 team anymore. They whatever they want to be at the time. That means they're a dangerous team. So they wind up beating the Chargers. A lot of people act like they didn't see that one coming. We even got bluffed into that one a little bit too, Jeff, because we were both on the 9.5 with the Chargers as well too. Justin Herbert is just that great of an entity, but at the end of the day, they had to go out and win the game, and they did not. So what are your thoughts on the Chargers moving forward? They would have to win their next 2 in a row to guarantee a playoff spot.
NFL any given Sunday, and it's the same old song and dance. And again, you look at a Charger team that, hey, you know, we took some lumps, but we know we got Houston on the schedule. We're just going to do a quick drive-by, take that as a win, and we're going to move on, and you know, we'll control our own destiny. And you could see early in that game, Houston came to play, and Mills. I tell you what, Mills has made a name for himself. And listen, if Houston doesn't want him, I can guarantee you there's a handful of other teams that would be willing to take a shot from the Stanford grad and use him next year, if not as a starter, as a great backup. So, you know, the Chargers, listen, we talk about the firing of Coach Anthony, and was it his fault? Well, you got a premier quarterback of a Justin Herbert who can make all the throws, a Keenan Allen, a Big Mike, Austin Eckler out, which hurt, but then Justin Jackson just killing it. So it was there. Bosa on defense. Listen, it's a great team. It's in a division that we've talked about with Kansas City rising to the top. A Raider team with a big win that won't go away as well. They're young. They'll be the team to beat, other than the Chiefs in that division for the next decade. But yesterday was not their day, Pops.
And I would say this, I would piggyback off what you're saying right here. Herbert is lights out. I love him. I consider him the best quarterback in Los Angeles, but we know that he's in his second season and that he really is learning to still be a big-time winner in the NFL. You're going to run into moments like this in your young career because you might be ready to roll, but the team might not be ready to roll. And not having Eckler yesterday was a big problem. Well, overall, Eckler is a ginormous piece to the offense. It's that simple. He opens up everything for Keenan Allen and Big Mike, and he also opens up things for the tight ends as well too. He's great. He's great at carrying the ball. He's great at catching the ball. Players like him are very hard to replace. So, and it showed yesterday. I thought Justin Jackson was going to be ready to answer the call yesterday, but he really needed Eckler there to kind of piece things out a little bit, where he's the running guy and Eckler's more of the catching and running guy. So, it is what it is. I say, though, these are going to be games that really elevate Herbert if they're successful in these games against their arch rivals. First, the Denver Broncos, final game at SoFi, and then the final game of the season over at the Death Star versus the arch rival Raiders. So I think that one will wind up being the game of the year in the AFC West, to be dead honest with you, that final game in Las Vegas between the Chargers and the Raiders, because I really do feel like the Chargers will get their win next week against the Broncos. I'm not saying the Broncos are finished, but Jeff, I've already put my case out on the Broncos. The Broncos have 2 quality wins on the season, and it showed last night against the Raiders. And them and the Raiders are the same exact team. So the Raiders get the sweep over them. And I think that this is just pretty much the Broncos knowing that the playoffs are a long shot at this point. So it's not that they're not going to show up or anything like that, but I think the Chargers will have that revenge on their mind, and they'll get their revenge for the final home game of the season. You can't lose the last home game of the season in a brand new stadium, and you'll have some fans there. So there it is with that. Now we got 2 7-8 teams here, and we also have the Dolphins sitting here just, hey, it's us, the Dolphins. And then we also have the Steelers, the don't die Steelers here as well too. Now, the Browns, to me, we both know, are the better 7-8 team with the possibility of still getting to the playoffs, because the Browns have something working big time in their favor. If they can knock out the Steelers this weekend, then they really they set up that showdown with the Bengals. Bengals do need to lose to the Chiefs to really set that up for the Browns to even think about winning the division. But I think first thing on the Browns' mind is beating Pittsburgh. That's what you got to do. Now, what Cincinnati did for themselves Sunday was they got to breathe a little bit now. So if they do lose to the Chiefs, they know, okay, we still got another opportunity to win the division. Or if everybody loses next weekend, we already do win the division as is. Because when you start looking at the conference breakdown, conference breakers, everything goes into Cincinnati's favor. It doesn't matter. Even if the Browns get the sweep over Cincinnati, everything goes into their favor, because what will happen is that the split between the Ravens and the Steelers will be the difference, because Cincinnati swept those teams. So, I think, though, at the end of the day, the Browns have a good shot, but it's a long shot. But they can't be the team that can spoil some things. But if one thing they would love to do is be the team that ends Ben Roethlisberger's pretty much his career. You know what I mean? Pretty much ends his home career in Pittsburgh with a loss. And if anybody would love to get that win, it's the team that he's beat down the most, the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, it's been a division now that the Bengals had in control, and then in come the Ravens on a great run, and the Browns hanging around, and then the Steelers hanging around, and it just looking as this season with the extra week now with COVID, and it just looks like who's now rounding into form. Well, unfortunately for the Ravens, the fact that Lamar's been hurt, Huntley was out yesterday, so in comes Josh Johnson. Obviously, they got lambasted. A Steelers team, again, Big Ben just can't get out of his own shadow. Never mind. I mean, you put him up against an offensive team like Kansas City, whose defense has been playing phenomenal. They were done in the first quarter, okay? And in comes big Jolton Joe Burrow to T. Higgins, to Jamar Chase, to Tyler Boyd. They're rounding back into form, and they got the home crowd in the home games in their favor. I think it looks like they'll be the last team standing in that division. And hats off. Listen, we talked off air. When you can roll out a Jamar Chase, a T. Higgins, a Tyler Boyd with a Mixon in the backfield, and if Joe can stand up and the offensive line gives him time, he's going to pick you apart. And it's a team that I'm not saying is going to go far, but I wouldn't want to face them because when they're clicking, they're a tough team to slow down, Pops.
And you got that right. So, all in all, that should be pretty good. We know that Buffalo and New England are in. New England is now on the outside looking in as the 5th seed. Buffalo has kind of moved up to the 3rd seed. So they wouldn't meet right away, but they could possibly meet. You know what I mean? And like I said to somebody the other day, yesterday, I said, as soon as they lost, I said that, you know what, Belichick could give 2 cents about having home field advantage first game of the playoffs. He much rather do this thing on the road because they're a better road team. To be honest with you, at this point, they're a 3-5 team at home. Okay. And it doesn't matter if most of those losses came in the early portion of the season. They're still a losing team at home. Okay. So they're not as bulletproof at Foxborough as they were in the Tom Brady era. People come to Foxborough with the idea this is where you have to beat the Patriots at, is over here in Foxborough in the Stadium of Champions. You know what I mean? So pretty much it is what it is. But when they go on the road, they make teams overthink the home team. And we both know this. This goes all the way back to the great Chargers season in San Diego when they went 14-2. Marty Schottenheimer looking good, and they go into halftime with a big lead, and everybody's, well, the Chargers are going to be looking good in the Super Bowl. And then next thing you know, mind games start getting played. Who wins the game? Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, and the Patriots. And that's where him and his staff, they do their absolute best work on the road. So I would say this, it's scary hours when the Patriots come into your house during the playoffs, honestly, because when they come, you're going to have to really beat them down. You know what I mean? You can't let them stick around. You can't let them get physical with you, because once they start doing all that, it's lights out. And we both know this. But the one thing about the Patriots where you can't get that excited about them is that, you know, Tom Brady's not on that other. It's not Tom Brady lining up over there. You have a true rookie quarterback. Tom Brady was a different type of breed. Tom Brady knew that if he didn't go hard in practice, he was getting cut. It's that simple. Mac Jones, first round pick. Everything your career, you at least got 3 years as the starter, so you have no worries. You know, Tom Brady has to look over his shoulder and hope that, you know, Bill doesn't decide to let Drew Bledsoe come back into play. You know, Hall of Fame career interrupted. So at the end of the day, that's not the same. The only thing that looks the same from that Patriot early beginning is the defense. The defense is the same type of defense, except for you don't have guys named Willie McGinnis and Ty Law. You got guys named Matthew Judon, and you got the twins. So you got a lot of things going in that element as well, too. But I truly do think that the Pats, when it comes to being a road playoff team, are by far one of the most dangerous teams in the playoffs.
I mean, it's kind of simple right now, Pops. I mean, they're going to go as far as their defense and their ground game goes. They were without Stevenson this past weekend due to COVID. And as we speak, by the way, Pops, Boise State and Central Michigan bowl game has now just been postponed due to COVID. With that being said, again, it's going to be ground and pound in defense. Judon has been kind of quiet lately. J.C. Jackson, they're going to go as far as they can just pound the ball, get ahead, play field position, and eke out 17-13, 20-14 games. The Mac is just not ready when he needs to make a completion. They're just not comfortable with that right now. And again, they were playing behind the chains and behind the 8 ball all day yesterday. Buffalo came in. Josh Allen played phenomenal. They got out early, and that was it. And Bill usually takes out your best player. Well, he tries to take out Diggs, and then McKenzie ends up with 11 catches and 100+ yards, a couple touchdowns. They even scored on the ground. Hats off to Buffalo. They got embarrassed at home on PrimeTime on a Monday night game, and they were waiting. They had this game circled, and they took advantage of it, and it showed. So the Pats dropped down to the 6th seed 10 days ago. They were number 1 seed. So now they 16-point favorites against Jacksonville, and then they will end the year at Miami, where, again, if Miami wins this week and then wins next week, it could be winning in for one of those two teams to see whether it's the Dolphins or the Pats.
Yes, sir. All right, so let's talk NFC real quick, but NFC is so figured out. You know what I mean? Like, it's so figured out. You really got the idea that Packers are going to be your number 1 team in the clubhouse. Okay, we got that out the way. Most likely, it's going to come down to the Bucs and the Rams, but I would think that the Bucs will wind up being the 2 seed, okay? Rams wind up being your 3 seed. Cowboys wind up being your 4 seed, right? Now, when you look at the bottom, when you compare both conferences, that wild card section in the AFC, that's dangerous right there. That's a dangerous group 5 through 7. They truly are. But that group that's in the NFC 5 through 7, you got one team that's dangerous, and you like them a lot. That's the 49ers. That's it, in my opinion. Everybody else is kind of just there. You know what I mean? Arizona is a team that is literally the team that jumped out to the front, hit the quarter 21 and change, but they forgot they're 75-1. You know what I mean? And everybody else is saving ground because we want to make the late push, the late run. And they're backing up as everybody else is moving forward. So Arizona to me is out of here. And I think that honestly, one of the more surprising firings should be at the end of the year is Cliff Kingsbury. It's that simple because Arizona now is the sexy girl at the bar. So any top coach will approach that team, you know, with blind ambition, roll with that team. You know what I mean? He's made the girl cute, but right now she's just a bit too much for you. She's a little too Hollywood. You're a little bit too country. You know, it is what it is. So you got them out the way. Philadelphia, Minnesota, they're juggling. Whoever wins and loses. You know, we keep playing, we keep going back and forth, But the team that solidified there is the Niners. The Niners would line it up possibly with the Rams in the first round and play them the final week of the season as well, too. That's the Rams' worst nightmare right now is lining up with the 49ers, period, point blank. That's the matchup that they don't want early on. And I'm going to say this as well, too. The Packers don't want to see the Cowboys as their first playoff game of the year. And I'm going to tell you this because they scored 56 points last night. And yes, I picked them a week ago as my NFC representative. They made me even more confident last night. But yes, I know what everybody's thing is. Oh, they keep beating up on a bad NFC East. But come on, Philly's on their way. Philly's in the playoff race right now. Regardless of Washington getting spanked the way that they did last night, they were in the playoff race as well, too. And they're slightly still in it. So don't give me the excuse that they're playing against that much bad. They're just levels ahead of those teams. That's plain and simple, and you got to play what's against you, what's up in front of you. But if you're going to make that same adage about them, you need to jump on the Buccaneers. Yes, I know they're the defending champions, but the NFC South isn't good. Let's keep it real, Jeff. You know, New Orleans is decent because coaching. It's coaching with them. But Atlanta, bad. Carolina, bad. So let's just be honest here, and let's go at this right here. Bucks get swept by the Saints. I know it's different because the Saints kind of got an edge over them and things like that, but the Cowboys haven't even came close to losing to anybody in their division. And so when you look at their 4 losses, they're not bad losses. You got a Denver and Oakland team vying for a playoff spot. Then you got the Buccaneers there as well, too. And then you got the Chiefs, the team that's possibly going to represent the AFC. So they got quality losses as well, too. So what's this? I don't believe in the Cowboys nonsense. You got a quarterback that can throw for 300 to 400 yards each game. Now you've locked in your defense. DeMarcus Lawrence has came back and has been the biggest difference in the world for a defense that was pretty much mediocre before he got back on terms. But it's not just the impact he's making on the field, it's also the impact that he's making off the field with the other team leaders, challenging each other. Oh, defense got the takeaway, touchdown challenge to the offense. Right now, defense is up. Defense is up. And they got 2 blowouts in a row since they started that competition. This is really good football getting played right now. I know it's the Dallas Cowboys. They're the Los Angeles Lakers. They're the New York Yankees. They got their fans love them to the point to where everybody hates them. So I just think that the Cowboys got to get a little bit more respect here. I heard them this morning. I'm just not impressed with what I see. Okay. What else can they do? Oh, Dak was struggling. I don't think Dak was struggling. I think the defense is playing well enough to where he can make mistakes. It's that simple, okay? And that's my rant of the day for the Dallas Cowboys. So I should be getting a free steak dinner next time I'm in Arlington.
You know, we talked till we're blue in the face for 6-7 weeks about the Chiefs, and what turned the Chiefs around was the defense. Right. And it allowed Andy to go back and start looking at his scrapbook to the Philly days, what was working, what wasn't working. We were talking to Michael Vick, Donovan McNabb, okay? So what did he do? He dummied down the offense. He says, all right, let's go back to basics, Patrick. And now look what's happening, okay? So now Dallas came out guns a-blazing. And you talked about their tough wins, okay? And I had a couple games that they stole wins, okay? And one was at the Chargers. One was at New England. Okay. But they won when good teams find ways to win. Okay. And so what struggled for society in Dallas is they had the midseason crisis. They've got over it. And now the defense is playing well again. And look what's happened offensively. They're back. Now, to put your hat on them, when's the last time they were in this spot? I have flashbacks of a fumbled snap for a field goal to win in Seattle when Romo was back there, okay? They haven't done this in so long, and you got to go against the iron. You got to go against Green Bay in Green Bay. You got to go against the defending champs in Tampa. You got the Rams. You got the Niners. Can they sweep the board like the Bucs did last year? Yeah, they can, but they need the perfect storm. The Packers had that the Bucs had that perfect storm last year. Go into Washington against the Heineke. Go into New Orleans with the Breeze who couldn't throw it over 20 yards. Go into Green Bay where Rodgers just couldn't perform in the fourth quarter. It's there. Do they grasp it? Do they take advantage of it? And do they complete the season? They have the offense. They have the defense. Now you just got to put it all together, Pops. That's all.
And that's right on. That's right on. And so that's what I see. You know I got my Cowboys rant and everything like that. But you know what, though? Like I said before, I think I really do like the way that Green Bay is shaping up, because Green Bay has proven to us that winning in Green Bay is tough this time of year, and just simply all season. The Browns just played the close game of the year in Green Bay. You know that, right? 2-point loss. Everybody else lost by 8 or more there. And, the last few weeks they were getting over 30 points easily at home as well, too. So, it's a tough out. But I think that with this sore foot of Rodgers, it's just like when Brady had a bad foot and the Pats were rolling into the playoffs, but bad foot started acting up right at the wrong time. First game of the playoffs, they got sent home. So that's where you get into your, I don't know about the Packers, because they don't have a quarterback right now. And the toe got stepped on, and he didn't look good for 3 drives. And they really won the game simply because Baker's turnovers. And if you take away the turnovers, I think the Browns win the game by 10, to be honest with you, Jeff, because 2 of those touchdowns were in, range to score. So, but we can't think about what could have happened. It is the game. The result of the game is what it is. You know what I mean? But it's just those things you put the notes together for the next games. You know what I mean? So I think that the NFC is so set, and the NFC teams, really, a lot of the teams, though, when you look at them from top to bottom, were they really challenged this year? Because most of the division is pretty mediocre. You have, I think, 6 teams winning records. Everybody else has a losing record. 7 teams. You got 14. Half the division has losing records, Jeff, under 500. So they're literally beating up on each other. That's the whole thing. But when you look at the AFC, you got all these winners in the AFC. But then when you look at the bottom pile of the AFC, it's absolutely putrid. You got 2 teams with 2 wins, and then you got 1 team with 3 wins. Well, now 4 wins. The Texans, but still, you got 3 teams with double-digit losses. So it's just a crazy thing, this NFL, Jeff. All right, so let's go ahead, jump into Monday night preview real quick. Things have changed since we started, since this Monday, since Thursday. We have Ian Book officially starting. Blake Bortles will be the backup tonight. I don't know why Blake Bortles wouldn't get the call to be the starting quarterback, but I guess Ian Book is a little bit more familiar with the system, and I'm okay with Ian Book being the starter here because Ian Book actually has some history here where he actually has some good history here where he is the all-time leading he's the all-time winningest quarterback at Notre Dame. I think that he gives them a great options here. And as I said before, you got a Saints team that's done decent on primetime television this year. They're coming off their biggest win of the season last week, 9-0 over Tom Brady and the Bucs. I know the Bucs didn't have anybody, but it's still all good. You know what I mean? They still had Tom Brady. Tom Brady can play with me and Jeff at receiver and still win a game, right? Isn't he the GOAT? That's go to, right, Jeff? You know, so pretty much what I see here, I'm going to stick to my guns here, Jeff. I don't have much to say about this game because we went so in-depthly about it. Yes, you have a Miami team that's looking so good coming into the game, 6 wins in a row. But then you have a Saints team that's just won the last 2 in a row after dropping 4 in a row. So this team is being pretty resilient themselves as well. And you know what? They always tend to show up on Monday Night Football at the Superdome. So I love them tonight with the plus 160, and I think that the Dolphins are due for a loss. This is the best team, I think, other than the Ravens, that the Dolphins have played in that 6-week stretch as well.
You know, it's funny. We've talked now last Monday. We talked on Thursday. And I'm going to just reiterate this. I was all in on Brian Flores year 4. I think this is right, Pop, 3 or 4 for Flores. Mm-hmm. And I liked the direction this team was going, but they got out of the gate so bad. Tua hurt, Tua not hurt, Tua hurt, Tua not hurt. And they came out of the gates struggling. And now all of a sudden they won 6 in a row. But what I really reiterated on Thursday, I'm going to say this one more time. They've been dogs in the majority of these games, and now they're favored and expected to win. Okay, and that's a big pill to swallow. And the fact it's prime time, no one's given the Saints any kind of shot here. The whole world is on the Miami here, and I don't know what you're going to get from the Notre Dame starting quarterback. I do know this: you're going to get a heavy dose of Kamara, that's for sure, and you're going to get a defense that's going to put a lot of pressure on Tua. So I'm not following the cheese here. And everyone else chasing the Dolphins and expecting them automatically to go in there and win their 7th in a row. And the under-over sets it perfect. I mean, Vegas is telling you 20-17 all day here. I'm not buying it. We're passing here at ECSI, but I'm telling you right now, what you're seeing, listen, I'd be grabbing the 3.5, and I'd sprinkle some beer and pizza money on the plus 160, no doubt about it, because I don't like teams that are dogs and that are chasing are dangerous. Once the target's on your back and you're expected to win, that's usually when it doesn't happen. So I think the Saints are a live dog here, Pops.
All right. I like what I hear here, Mr. Dawson. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But with that, we're going to go ahead and take our first commercial break. When we get back, we're going to jump into tonight's NBA, the 5 games that I got selected for us. And then we'll go ahead and talk those tickets. All right. So this is the Primetime Angles Live with your host, Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Jeff Dawson. And we will be right back to you.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll Have Another, and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune into Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back with the PrimeTime Angles Live. And let's go ahead and jump into our NBA Monday night. And first, we got the Hawks and the Bulls going at it tonight. This is going to be a good game here, Jeff. And from what I see here, I have a Bulls team that's coming in here 20-10 tonight. Also, we have a Hawks team that's coming in here 15-17. They're absolutely struggling this month as well, too. So when I look at the numbers for December, we have a Bulls team that's missed about 4 games because of COVID and COVID-related situations. Just they missed out 2 games a whole week, and then they missed a recent game as well too against Toronto. Now in those 8 games they have played this month, they're 6-2 straight up, 5-3 against the spread, and they're even on the over and under. Now the Hawks have been a struggle this month, sir. They are 4-7 against the spread and straight up, and they've went under in 6 out of the 11 games that they've played in this month. Now, when I look at the numbers for this game, setting up in this game, the Hawks have only had so much to look forward for this month. Things have been very off with this team. So I like the Bulls tonight with the 5 points on the spread. I know it's going to jump a little bit higher because the Bulls are now the new flavor of the week in the Eastern Conference. Everybody's dark horse now because they love that team, the way the team is built and structured. That's why they are considered the dark horse here for maybe a conference finals run. I wouldn't say they're NBA finals ready, but they do have a player in place in DeMar DeRozan who could lead you there since he's been in the NBA so long and has played at some of the most top positions that you can play in all-star games, USA teams, things like that. So I like what I see tonight. I think the Bulls absolutely romp in this spot, to be honest with you, Jeff. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think this all comes down to, I mean, let's be realistic here. I'm going to read you some stuff that was going to make your head spin. This numbers are all based on who's playing, who's not playing. You ready? Atlanta, right. Trae Young, out, COVID. Sharif Cooper, out, COVID. Delon Wright, out, COVID. John Collins, out, COVID. Cam Reddish is probable, but let's keep going. Kevin Huerter, out. Gallinari, out. Hunter, out. Okay. Jalen Johnson, out. And the list is just going on and on and on and on. And here's the funny thing. Just reading the market, Pops, okay? This line opened up at 6, is now down to 4.5. I'm seeing 85% of the bets, 66% of the money, all on the Bulls, yet the line has dropped 1.5. Okay, so just reading the market, there's some strong reverse line movement on the Hawks. Why? I have no reason to say. It's a game that I'm grabbing some popcorn. I'm gonna sit back and watch. It's a game that the Bulls are supposed to win by double digits, Pops, hands down.
All right. I like what I hear there, Jeff. That's awesome. That's awesome stuff. So let's go ahead, move forward, and let's talk about your Celtics and the Wolves tonight. The Celtics coming into this game 16-17. The Wolves are 15-17 coming into this game. So this one should be a very good spot for the Celtics, to be honest with you, because we have some issues going on here with the some injury issues going on with the Wolves. who have actually stepped it up this year and have became one of the more popular teams in the league this year when it comes to, young players, box office mentality type situations. Anthony Edwards is an absolute gem. I'm so sorry for being so doubtful about him when he was the first pick in the draft. I really didn't understand why he was the first pick in the draft, but he isn't a common first pick in the draft. Usually guys like that, they don't catch you until about the 10th, 11th pick in the draft. But his talent was so overwhelming, and it's a crazy talent that can just really be he can get things done high volume. That's what makes him a very special player. And I know that he's going to be a very impactful star for this Wolves team moving forward because he just wants to play basketball. It's not about the location where he wants to be. But let me get down to the numbers of the game. That's what we're here for, to talk the numbers of the game. And in the numbers of this game, you got a Wolves team that's coming in here 4-7 straight up in December. They're 5-6 against the spread, and they've went over in 9 out of their 11 games. Now the Celtics, on the other hand, they're 5-7 straight up this month, but they're 7-5 against the spread. And then when it comes down to the over and under, they are split. So when I look at this game, I say to myself that the Celtics have the tendency to go over a lot in these Western Conference matchups that they've been playing in, especially the games that they've recently played against the Western Conference. And I think tonight that trend continues. I love the over in this spot. I think that Tatum and Brown absolutely have themselves a game against a very minimal defensive team in the Wolves, because the Wolves only step it up on defense every so often, maybe about twice every 2 weeks. You know what I mean? So we'll see how this one shapes up, but I do like the over in this spot tonight. Jeff, what are your thoughts?
Tatum out COVID. Marcus Smart questionable. Horford is active. For the Celtics, Schroeder, Richardson, Naismith, Fernando, Jackson, and Miles all out. For Minnesota, D'Angelo Russell, McKinley Wright, Cat, and Anthony Edwards all out due to COVID. But I think Brown and company get it done. I like the spot for them here. I think the Celtics roll Pops.
Okay. I like what I hear with that as well too. So we have that in place. So pretty much we have ourselves a very, very fun game tonight in Minnesota. We'll see how it goes. We have some COVID issues going on, but I think we can break through that, Jeff. So let's move on to our next game, which is going to be another doozy. This one is going to be what used to be a really good rivalry in the NBA, and that's between the Spurs and the Jazz. And this game is going to be in San Antonio tonight. And quick notes. I heard Becky Hammond is getting pursued pretty hard by the WNBA right now for the Aces or the Liberty job. We all both know that she did play with the old Aces franchise, the San Antonio franchise, in their early days. And then she also was a member of the original New York Liberty as well, too, with Becky, with one of your girls, Rebecca Lobo, the legendary Rebecca Lobo, Lobo Rosati, Nikisha Sales. Those girls can play some basketball, Jeff, man. I'm telling you, especially at Nikisha Sales, boy.
Well, my all-time favorite, you know who my all-time favorite is, don't you?
Who?
Come on. Guard. Other than Miss Sue Bird, of course, who's Miss WNBA.
Taurasi?
Taurasi's my all-time favorite. I love that.
You talking about Chino, Don Lugo High School, all-time leading California girls scorer ever. Diane Taurasi, she's from she's a SoCal girl too. So
yeah, just a stud.
And let me tell you, the first time I read about Diane Taurasi was not when she was in college. She was a junior at Don Lugo, and she was about to break the scoring record, not just the women's scoring record, but the men's scoring record as well too. That's how good she was at Don Lugo High School. And then her going to Connecticut, this is what the scouts said. Well, maybe she could get off the bench just a few times. They didn't know they didn't think she was going to be an ultimate superstar because Little Don Lugo High School, I don't even know if Don Lugo still exists, but Little Don Lugo High School didn't have much. You know what I mean? So, they're thinking, oh well, she's a good little diamond in the rough. maybe she'll be a good little seven player off the bench. You know what I mean? No. 4 national championships later, right? Then
And
goes
isn't
to the WNBA and is the absolute just gem.
4 national titles. I don't know how many WNBA titles, and correct me if I'm wrong. It's either 3 or 4 gold medals as well.
Right. So Taurasi, I think Taurasi really truly did make UConn women basketball what it is today. I know Rebecca and crew, they did very well, but people got to understand Pat Summitt was the John Wooden of women's college basketball, and Tennessee was just a machine for a good 20 years. You know what I mean? And they produced the best of the best. But when Diana and Sue Bird and all of them got there, it became a different type of situation. It became UConn and everybody else. So, no, that's what I would say about that in women's basketball in that regard. So, yeah. But let's get to this good old rivalry game. Spurs, Jazz. Jazz absolutely tearing it up this month. The Jazz are actually 9-2 straight up in December. They're 5-6 against the spread, though, Jeff. That's not good to me. That means that a lot of their games are much closer than what they need to be, but they're getting the job done. They're winning. That's what it's all about, right? Winning the games, right? So that's what they signed. That's what they're signed up for. That's what they're supposed to do. So pretty much what I can see there is that this can be something that can work out pretty good for the Jazz for now, but this will be something that could get them in trouble later on down the road, not being able to close out these games in fanatic fashion, because you want teams like Utah to be great, and teams can only be great when they cover, Jeff. You know, winning the game is not enough for us in the betting world for these big winning teams. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. But the Spurs coming here very good this month. One of the better records for this month as well, too. They're 8-5 straight up, 9-4 against the spread. They've won over 7 out of those 13 games as well, too. They haven't had any COVID issues either with the Spurs team. And let me give you a fun fact about the Spurs this month as well, too. And this is why they're going to wind up being the dog of the day. Okay, the Blazers were a good team at this point. The Blazers are still a good home team. They beat the Blazers at home. They beat the Warriors at home. They almost beat Phoenix at home. Then they come back around and they beat Utah at home by 2. Then skip back around after a bad loss to the bad 7-point loss to Sacramento. Come to LA and do to the LA 2-step, the back at Staples, and beat the Clippers and Lakers by 20 plus points. They haven't done anything like that since like 2010. And then they wind up beating the Pistons last night by 45 points. So, you know, this is not 45, but 35 points. I'm sorry. So, you know, this team is playing really good basketball over the last 3 games, and they got 3 straight blowouts when you look at it as well, too, Jeff. There's no doubt about it. Give me the Spurs to go ahead and win this game tonight with the plus 230. I'm feeling a little froggy tonight, so that's where I'm going to go with this one.
Yeah, I'm looking at about 14,000 tickets. 53% of the bets are on the Spurs, but 69% of the money is on Utah. Opened at 7, still is at 7. I'm seeing here. We call this a line freeze in the business. So I like where your eyes are. I see the value, and let's go Spurs.
Let's get it. Let's go Spurs. It should be a good one tonight, sir. All right, so we move on to our next game, which is going to be a pretty good game here. This is a playoff type preview matchup. I don't have many notes on it because I kind of ran out of time, but I do have a good idea how this one is going to work out. We got the Grizzlies 20-14, the Suns 26-6. I think tonight this is a good bounce back for the Suns, to be exact. The Suns have been very good this month. They really haven't missed a beat since starting off, the season, since their 18-0 month last month, Jeff, you know what I mean? But they've lost 4 games this month, so, you know, they have a pulse, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, that things are serious. They've lost 3 times this month, and they've wound up winning, going 8-3 in the process as well, too. So that's pretty good, and they only have 1 home loss as well too this month. So they're pretty good at the house. But the thing is, though, covering, they're another team that when it comes to covering, it might not be on the top of their brain. They just want to win the game. Now, they are going against a Grizzlies team that is recently coming off a 3-game losing streak, but they did go ahead and right that ship after a nice 25-point victory last night in Sacramento. So they come into Phoenix tonight, going against a team that they've already played this season prior, back on the 12th of November, losing that game by 25 to Phoenix in Phoenix. So this is somewhat of a get-back game. This could be a game where teams kind of overlook the fact that, the Grizzlies are a 20-14 team, and think back to that game that they just recently played them in. I think this winds up being a good defensive matchup and winds up going under tonight. I can't pick a side here.
Yeah, I remember that Memphis-Phoenix game that you were talking about. And Memphis played a great first quarter, an okay second quarter, and then just got the doors blown off them in the second half here. Looking at about 14,500 tickets, 63% of the bets, 94% of the money all coming in on Phoenix. A line that opened at 9 that is now dropped to 8.5. A Phoenix team that kind of laid an egg on Christmas Day. But we are showing some reverse line movement here on Memphis, slight lean to Memphis, but I do see a potential bounce back spot for Phoenix here as well. Tread lightly here, but a slight lean to the Grizz plus the 8.5, or if you can shop around and still get 9.
So Jeff is saying this: do a double dog parlay with the Grizzlies and the Spurs tonight.
Wow, and that would be a very Merry Christmas.
Right. And that's one right there. You really are going against the public with a bet like that, because these are going to be two very, very popular public money line parlay plays. Just like the Chargers yesterday that spoiled 95% of the parlay tickets that were put into action yesterday. What they said. I said, that just goes to show you that these people need to start watching NFL Bet Exchange, Jeff. That's all I got to say.
Exactly.
Stop thinking on your own. You know what I mean? You're going to put yourself in a broke house.
Amen to that, brother.
Yeah, stop listening to what's the Good Morning Football and their rants and raves about angry runs and what team is they're going to spoil this week, because today it was all about the Bengals. So whatever team gets the most hype on Good Morning Football, Jeff, is going to be a big loser on Sunday. It never fails. 3 weeks ago, it was the Patriots. Then it was the Chargers. Then it was the who was it last week? It was somebody who just got whooped on this week that they didn't see it coming. Oh, yeah, I think it was Arizona, who they said were still in good shape. They're fine.
Oh, yeah.
They were just going through the motions. We told you guys at the beginning of the year what Arizona was going to be. They were going to be a front runner and will probably get derailed when games mattered. And once again, games matter. And where is their coach? Nowhere to be found. So it is what it is. But last game, how can the net see? This is when you know you're an NBA elite team, is when they let you get the day off, but everybody else has to play a back-to-back. Come on, Brooklyn's a high-profile team. They don't need to be spending 3 days out in L.A. If I'm the owner, I don't want my team out here in L.A. for 3 days. I just don't. Let's get in and let's get out.
It's not like they had to travel. And when you look at this list, okay, so you got David Duke, Cameron Thomas, Kyrie Irving, KD, and LaMarcus all out. Yet there's still 3.5, 4-point favorites. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard injured as well.
Right. Paul George is done for the next 4 to 6 weeks, most likely the next 2 months, to be honest with you. You won't see Paul George until a little bit after the All-Star break, to be honest with you. I think that's exactly because he's not going to come back that quickly from that type of injury. It might be the season, to be honest with you, because they might see that it's a little bit more torn when they take a deeper look on it, because it seems like it's been bothering for the last month or so. So you guys can go ahead and check him out for the next few months. So who's going to be the Clippers superstar now? No clue. All right, so you just go back to the old Channel 5 days, the old KCOP days, Jeff. That's a local network out here in L.A. So we'll see how that goes. But to the game, I think the Nets, look really good coming into this one. They played the Lakers extremely well the other night on Christmas, but the Lakers did have an opportunity to come back in that game, but they didn't do so. I think tonight Harden has himself a good game, but the Clippers show up for this one tonight. They lost last night by 3 to Denver. They come into this one tonight knowing that they don't have a full roster for this Nets team. I think the Clippers show up in fine fashion tonight. I got them covering in this spot with the +4, Jeff.
You know, it's a real tough spot. There's no rhyme or reason to take the Clippers at all, but yet I think Vegas is enticing you to take them. Really do. A line that the computer model has 4 and 216.5. Yet the line's 3.5 right now. And the Nets are getting 78% of the bets and 83% of the money. So the whole world is on the Nets, yet the contrarian side would be the Clippers. I would tend to lean Clippers here, plus the 3.5, or shop around for the 4 and sprinkle a little pizza and beer money on the Clippers money line as well.
Yes, sir. All right, so there it is. There it is with the NBA Monday night, Jeff. So, man, why did we have to start that Nevada Western Michigan game at the crack of dawn? I couldn't even put out bets for it this morning for my people. So for the Twitter land, but I'm glad I didn't, because I had Nevada as the winner of that game. They got absolutely cooked. But that's because their quarterback wasn't playing either. He's headed to the draft.
Their quarterback, wide receiver, coach, but as I told you, as I told you off here, all my winners the last couple weeks are on the desk, and all my losers are the ones that I've been releasing. It's that time of year. I swear I have either a December to remember. I had a memory on my Facebook to remind me last year at this point we were on a 20-3 run, and I'm like, where was this year? But it's just the marathon approach. It's just, some days you're the dog, some days you're the fire hydrant, my brother.
Hey man, you go from a 9-0 Saturday with both NFL games and the college game. Then yesterday it was an absolute massacre with those 10 I gave out in the NFL, dude. Just come on, Giants. You give up 34 damn points yesterday. You guys been giving up 21 points the last 2 months of the year. Then you decide to give up 34 for some odd reason yesterday. I just don't know. But let's go ahead and talk those tickets real quick, Jeff, so we can go ahead and wrap this thing up. I know you want to get back to doing what you want to doing your thing. I know our dog is sitting over there like, I need to get in there. I need to get that action. He needs his bets as well, too. 43-1, NBA Super High Five. We got the Bulls -5, as I said before. Then we have the Celtics over 214 with the Wolves tonight. Our dog of the day, Spurs money line +230, and we have hit the dog of the day the last 3 out of 5 days as well too. Hopefully we can hit him for the next 4 out of 6. This will be a nice one as well too, and it will be our second one on a +200 or better in the last 3 days. And then we also have the under 221.5 with the Grizzlies and the Suns, and then we have the +4 with the Clippers. As I always like to say, brother, single what you like in the NBA. Now, in Monday Night Football bets, it's a little different today. We got the Saints, who've been bet down from +160 now to +145. Then I have the first half going over the 18.5 points that they're giving out. And then I have the Saints either being tied or being ahead in the first quarter. And then we wind up ending up with the Saints with the total game going over the 16.5 team total. I think we are in for another big night when it comes to these individual games and these individual bets that go towards these games. What do you think?
Yeah, like we talked about, the whole world's on the Dolphins. So, I mean, you're either going to look like a hero or, as we like to say, look like a zero. And listen, you got to fade the public. You got to go contrarian in these spots. And I like everything about it. I think you're going to get everyone is on the under as well. So what you're going with the Saints money line, the over 18.5, Saints first quarter, Saints team total. I'm with you, Pops. You're either all in or you're out, and I like where your head is, brother.
All right, man. So there it is. There it is. It's another great show. And, man, I just want Jeff to get – he didn't confirm for me right away this morning because I wanted to talk college basketball. So next day when we have you on the show, we're going to make sure we talk about college basketball. We at least get into who the best conference in the nation is at this point moving forward. You know what I mean? Who's going to probably get the most teams? I would say this. I know that I'm kind of jumping the gun, but I would say, to give everybody a sample of what we'll talk about next week, I like the Big East as we move forward into this season. I think that they absolutely showed that, when you play against a Big East team, you better come with your chin strap on because we don't play soft over here. And every big game that was happened between the Big East and one of these Power 5 ranked schools, the Big East came out on top. And this was even the smaller schools in the Big East coming out on top in these games as well, too. That's what I'm excited to see in this year's college basketball as well.
I think what we need to do, Pops, is I think we got 2 more NFL bet exchanges on Thursday. And then what I think we should give everyone is the, I should be able to be back on the Mondays and we'll go over the what happened on the weekend and we'll get everyone ready for the start of the week. But go back to our Friday shows where we used to kill it with the Manhattans of the world and the Fairfields and all those good little small schools and get them prepped up for Saturday as well. So we can really get them into some college hoops, just hoping that COVID doesn't take over, come 2022. They're trying to put everything into place. I heard earlier this week, if you got 7 players and a coach, you're playing. And whether they change that or not, I've seen games being canceled for Wednesday, yada, yada, yada. But I'm ready. I got the chin strap on. Big East, here we come. Season ticket holder, as everyone knows, for the UConn men's. And I'll be up at MSG for the Big East Championship. And maybe it'll be a nice road trip for you.
I'm working on it. And, that's the week that I would really love to just be a fan for the week, not doing no media stuff, media work, and just being able to be in the show. But we're working on it. We're working on it.
I'm ready.
We're working on it. All right. So, my man, we guys will see us Thursday for the NFL Bet Exchange. Make sure you guys tune in for that. We should have ourselves an epic show. It is week 17. So, we're getting down to the nitty gritty and everything like that. And me and Jeff both sitting at 7-8 right now. He has the Dolphins tonight. I have the Saints. So who you rooting for? Probably Jeff. I know you guys love Jeff. So you guys are probably rooting for him.
Hey, like I said, when we do the show, it was on Thursday. I was riding the Dolphin train, but when it gets close to kickoff and you're seeing the landslide of tickets and you're seeing people betting 300,000 on the Dolphins money line, it usually doesn't come in. So like I says, I lean right now to the Saints. It's the contrarian side. And, I always fade the public and I can definitely see the Saints not just covering, but winning.
All right. So there it is. We pretty much hope for a great game tonight. There's going to be some great sports, and we only get blessed with one college basketball game tonight. That's going to be Brown and Syracuse at the Kennedy Dome, so that should be a good one as well, too. But I'll be back tomorrow at noon with the PrimeTime Eagles Live. But till then, as I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. And as I always like to say as well, too, if you got a hunch, bet a bunch. The movement is moving. And I'm your host, the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, and my man, the Don of Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson. And this is the Primetime Angles Live, the premier sports betting show. And we are gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.